So Puma launched its rather unique entry into the smartphone market back at Mobile World Congress, and it's not a bad looking handset. It's nice and sturdy, and all the usual buttons are in the right places, like your volume rocker and your camera button. Now Sagem may be responsible for the hardware, but it's all Puma on the inside, and it's a little bit wacky and a little bit fun. For starters, when the battery is full, it's happy, hungry when running low, and feeding when charging. But this makes a little more sense when Dylan, the live animated Puma, pops up as an interactive screensaver. So you'll find Puma's imprints all over this handset. For example, you can set a Puma Roar as the ringtone. It even has its own Puma Speak SMS icons. It's got loads of other quirky features too, spanning from the retro-style boot-up sequence, a music player / turntable, which you can actually scratch, albeit rather disjointedly, right down to a sarcastic calculator, all the way down to when it runs out of juice, informing you that you need to get it to a charger because it can't go on much longer. And the gallery is pretty nice too, and rather reminiscent of Palm's WebOS card panel system. Now on the back, you'll notice an eco-friendly solar panel. Now based on our temperamental weather, I haven't been able to test its strength, but according to Puma, an hour in the sun gives it 17 minutes of talk time. And you'll be able to see how the sun's powered your phone activity with the solar panel calculator. And moving on the front, you'll notice a camera for video chats, but you will need to find a fellow Puma phone owner in order to use it. Okay, so moving on to the home screen, and the icons are simple but refreshingly different, split over 3 sliding screens, one for lifestyle, sport-related stuff, and a customisable middle screen for up to 6 icons. There's also a handy drop-down connections menu a la Android. So the phone is undoubtedly different and fun, but it's not very user-friendly and certainly not intuitive. For example, it's not immediately obvious what some of the icons' functions are, and it took me a while to realise that if you hold one down, it will tell you what it is at the top of the screen. But sometimes this isn't really clear either. For example, calculator is you do the math, not immediately obvious that it's a calculator. And equally, putting icons on the home screen isn't instantly obvious either. But a nice touch though is lifting up the curtain or carpet, which is how Puma describes it, to access the settings menu of each feature. Now the low-res 2.8-inch capacitive screen doesn't always respond immediately, and it can be quite temperamental and inaccurate at the best of times, especially for more intricate on-screen action. The same goes for typing, so typing out text messages can be a bit frustrating. It definitely would have helped if there was a stylus on hand, but generally you'll get on okay. Browsing the web over HSDPA proved a bit of a challenge too. It's slow to load web pages, it doesn't render web pages well either, and scrolling is very frustrating. And there's no Wi-Fi, so it's not very convenient and not a particularly great web browser, but the quirky traits are still there. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the Puma phone is fitness focused, which covers 3 main areas: running, cycling and yachting with its built-in 3D compass. And using the built-in AGPS, which is pretty quick, both the pedometer and cycle monitor will track your progress. For example, the running app monitors distance and average speed and will prove useful for those who want to monitor their daily jogs. And talking of AGPS, the built-in maps is certainly no competition for Google Maps, but will suffice when you just want it to tell you where to go, although it is prone to crashing the phone. Then there's Pima World, which you'd think would be the bag icon. It's not, it's the heart. Now this is Puma's online portal to customisable RSS feeds, social networking sites, buying applications, as well as a few other Java-based apps. And Puma also makes some updates as well. But it's no competition for the App Store, and it really needs some work to evoke daily visits. So the Puma phone certainly does things differently, and while that's part of the appeal, unfortunately, there's just too many flaws to make it the next must-have handset. The UI is restricted and there's a lot of pointless features, spin the bottle and scratching music to name a few. It's not trying to be like the next smartphone, but there's certainly room for improvement, as there are loads of smartphones out there right now offering a much better web experience. And I think it's fair to say if web browsing and inbuilt maps are 2 of your most important features, you'd be better off looking elsewhere.